Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Shop Talk number 43. I say good morning because it's morning here in Parker, Colorado, 10 a.m. In Brazil, it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And I've noticed here in the chat box, we've got somebody all the way over there in Tahiti. So who knows what time it is over there. But thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you to Jim Deeming for the wonderful theme song, opening music there. If you want to check out more of Jim's music, go to jimsguitar.com. He's a fantastic fingerstyle thumb-picking player. By the way, you guys that are coming in for Trevor Gore's modal tuning masterclass here in a few weeks, Jim will be giving some house concerts during that, so you'll get to hear him live. I also like to call attention to the sponsors here at the Luthery Academy. Let me just pull those up real quick. If you go over to the lutheryacademy.com, click on the sponsors tab in the upper right-hand corner, you'll see the folks that help keep the lights on here at the Luthery Academy. Glue Boost, Total Vice, Elevate Luthery, Royal Lac, Stumac, Pacific Rim Tonewoods, and the Acoustic Coffee Company. All of these companies have been vetted. They have great products and services. So if you're in need of one of their products or services, please go to them and let's help keep them in business because they make our lives a lot easier. So go ahead and put in the chat box where you're from. I always like reading after the fact where everybody's from. I know there's a lot of people here. Scott's already commenting about one of Juan's courses that he's bought. Indiana, Oregon, Parker, Colorado, Rich Haas. We're going to have lunch tomorrow, Rich. I'm looking forward to that. Ken in Arizona, Tahiti, Flagstaff, Arizona. Tim from the Black Hills. Brad there in Charleston, South Carolina. Cesar's all the way down there in Brazil. We're going to go check in with him here in just a minute. Rob's here in Denver, Houston, San Francisco, San Diego, London. I mean, you name it. This is just pretty amazing the reach we have here with the internet. All right, so let's go down to Sao Paulo, Brazil. We're going to check in with the lovely Cesar and Manuela. There they are. A big round of applause for them. Thank you so much for tuning in. All right, Cesar, please tell us how to enter the drawing today and what we're going to be giving away.
So today we have a big giveaway. We are giving away two courses, two full courses. Obviously, the two are by João Casas. And one is the Archtop course and the other is the newer semi-hollow body course. And so it's pretty easy to participate. As usual, all you have to do is click at the link at the top of this the chat box, and leave your name and email. We can contact you so we can.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Cesar. And go ahead and click on the link there, and we'll come back to Cesar and Manuela here in just a few minutes. Don't go to sleep. Oh, actually, more than a few minutes. It's going to be more towards the end of the stream. All right. Thank you, Cesar and Manuela. Very good. So, like he said, two giveaways today. Big giveaways, the Archtop course and the semi-hollow body course. Also, one more thing I want to take a look at here on the website. If you go over to the Luthery Academy website, Cesar, who is my web developer, has created a resources page on the Luthery Academy website. There's just a lot of great information. If you just go to the Luthery Academy website, click on resources, you'll see a lot of articles, links to external sites and other type of information there. A lot of the articles are downloadable if you want to have a copy of them. Interviews I've done over the years, articles I've written. So go ahead and take a look at those. And if you would like to contribute to the resources page at the Luthery Academy, just go ahead and send me an email. The contact information is on the website there. And you can go ahead and perhaps write an article or contribute something to the resources page. The Luthery Academy was started. I want it to be a portal for all things Luthery related. That's our slogan. All right, let's move on down to upcoming events. I have a class coming up at the Mark Adams School of Woodworking in Franklin, Indiana. That is just outside of Indianapolis. I will be there September 30th to October 4th. So it's just around the corner here, folks. I will be teaching inlay. And then October 5th to October 6th, I will be teaching a 2-day French polish class. So if you're in the area of Franklin, Indiana, go ahead and get registered. There's still a couple of spots available in each class. Trevor Gore will be coming to the Luthery Academy O'Brien Guitars workshop here. I'm going to get back from Franklin, Indiana. 2 days later, Trevor shows up. We have 49 students showing up for 3 separate 3-day master classes here coming up in October. So it's going to be a very busy month for us here. If you're into modal tuning and stuff, that's the class to come see. Although this has been sold out for a long time. Like I said, Jim Deeming will be giving house concerts for each one of those 3-day courses. We're going to be having dinner together. It's going to be a wonderful time, and you're going to learn a lot. It's like drinking from a fire hose from Trevor Gore. All right, here we go. João Casillas is my guest today. João and I are friends. We met several years ago in Sao Paulo when I was giving a class there. He is a graduate of the Gallup School of Luthery. He's studied with Tom Rebecki and Urban Samaji. He is featured on Michael Baskin's Luthier on Luthier podcast. He runs a small factory in Brazil making world-class guitars. He has 2 online courses available at the Luthery Academy, Archtop and Semi-Hollow Body. And here we go, Mr. João Casillas. Let's see, there's the right button. Hey, João, how you doing?
I'm doing all right. Thank you for having me.
Did I get all of that information correct? Is there anything you want to add to that about your bio?
You did it right. You did it prime stuff. Nothing to add.
Fantastic. No, I know you're very busy. You have a small team there you work with in Sao Paulo. So I would like to just ask you a few questions. And if anybody has any questions for João, go ahead and put them in the chat box. If you have questions about his courses or about anything we're going to discuss here, then go ahead and put it in the chat box, and I'll feed those questions to João. Oh, here's a quick comment from Tim there. Look at that. The resources page is nice. Well, I certainly appreciate that, Tim. And you guys make sure you go check that out. It took a lot of work for Cesar and I to put that together. So go ahead and check that out. All right, João, thank you for tuning in. First of all, first question.
Pleasure.
How the heck did you get your start in Luthery?
Was completely by, well, first of all, I want to thank to everybody who's watching and for you inviting me. You're a good old friend. Also, Cesar
Hey,
Manuel.
careful with the old now. Come on, careful with the old.
No, I didn't mean that you're old. I was not referring to your age, but how long we've met. So the quality of our relationship.
Yes.
And so it's a pleasure to be here and sharing Luthery, because this is, every time we share, we get better. Every time we share, we understand more of our trade, and we connect to people. And this is pretty much what this is all about, right? I mean, you were mentioning people from London, Tahiti, Brazil, and all other countries, and it's wonderful, Robbie. It's just wonderful to be here.
So you studied at the Brian Gallup School of Luthery. When was that?
It was 16 years ago, 2008.
Wow. Time flies, huh?
Yeah, time flies. Yeah, I was, and if you feel old, Robbie, I also feel old because of that information alone. So, yeah.
And after Brian, you were there for what? I think you did the full master's course, which was like 6 months or a year or something like that.
Yeah, it was 6 months back then, and 8 hours, 8 to 10 hours sometimes. It was really intensive, and it was a privilege to be there. It was just so many thoughtful moments, and it changed my life, actually. It was one of the best experiences I've ever had, Luthery or non-Luthery related, because it was a full immersive course, you know. We lived in the cabins, wood cabins and log cabins. So it was a pretty countryside, a picturesque place. We didn't have internet back then. I think it was kind of planned to give the opportunity of the foreign students to really live the reality, or just to go deep into living in another country and the Luthery experience. So we didn't have TV. Well, we had a TV, but it was a tube TV with VHSs, and only that, pretty much. We didn't have internet access, so we didn't communicate to other people.
Mm-hmm.
So I would ride the bike on the weekends. We would go see people play guitar. I think it was one of the most guitar nerd intensive experiences I've ever had in my life, really.
Yeah.
So it was really cool.
Like you said, it changed your life, right?
Absolutely, it changed my life. I would definitely recommend people to study there. Not back then, I had the privilege to meet Susan Gallup. She was still alive. Unfortunately, she passed away. but also Brian and Susan. I'm very grateful. Russ, the teachers, Sam. I am very grateful for the opportunities they presented me and the people I met there. So it was really nice.
And when you got back from Gallup, right now you have a small factory with a team that works with you. But did you initially just go back to Brazil and said, "I'm going to open a factory," or did you start working alone? How did that evolve?
No, no, I wouldn't even call this a factory really. It perhaps looks like the shelves indicate some of that, but it's a small shop really. It's a commercial space, but I stayed 19 years on my basement, my parents' basement. I didn't live there anymore, but it was a really small 60 square meter shop, and but it used to be on the basement, so it was hard to put machinery there, and it's even harder to put it out if it required maintenance and improvements. So I was long desiring to have a bigger space, mostly because of the infrastructure. But coming back to your question, I didn't decide. The lutherie bug bit me when I was a guitar player only. I didn't even know people make guitars using woods or made guitars by hand. I didn't have any idea of the process of making how people make guitars. But I was starting to play better guitar. I was starting to study more. I was trying to mimic Stevie Ray Vaughan and the other musicians that I like, the guitar players mostly. And I soon realized that I needed better instruments to play. So I went to a luthier here, and he had a lutherie school. So I drove there to take my guitar to improvements and went out as a registered student. So I I was instantly addicted to it. It was
Right.
no way out. And back then I was a college student, and the college was not good, but the lutherie just, just I drove through it. I really enjoyed from the first sight. And not long ago, after that, I realized that I would do this for the rest of my life. So it was pretty easy.
So you were in college as a student. Did you quit school? And if you did, what did your parents have to say about that?
Oh my! I almost made my dad had a heartbreak. How do you say infarte?
Heart attack.
Heart attack. Yeah. So my dad didn't like that because he wanted a successor.
Yeah.
Uh, he has a lumberyard business, and my grandfather has had a lumberyard business as well, a sawmill.
Hmm.
Since the 1940s, my family deals with wood. They saw wood, they cultivate it, and they do it for. So it's kind of in my blood actually. But my dad didn't like that. My mom, not so much, not so bad, but my dad didn't like it because he wanted a successor, but and he wanted a college degree also. But I dropped school. I was studying business administration, and I didn't like it at all. I was so happy doing lutherie stuff, repairs, maintenance, setups, trying to do my own builds here and there, and failing, absolutely failing, of course. But when he realized that I was not fooling around, he decided that he realized that I was not fooling around. He started to see people coming back and forth and visiting, and I was making a little bit of money to justify buying tools, as I presume any other builder starts. That's the way I presume.
Hmm.
And he started liking it when he saw the family name on the headstock. You know, you know that feeling.
Yeah, yeah.
And there is a sense of inheriting something. Of course, the family name is something it's passed through generations. Yeah, obviously. But the first commission was a decal. It's a Fender Stratocaster replica,
Hmm.
and one of my employees, one of the people of my team, he finished that guitar neck with the decal, and that decal I bought it from a supplier that made metallic vintage look decals
Hmm.
in Ireland or Scotland. It was really far away from the UK, and I imported that and had only three decals, water slide decals, to put on the guitar, and
Right.
the first two was missed. They didn't work fine, and I only had one decal. And I asked Valdir, which is the guy who is here with me, my team,
Uh-huh.
great guitar maker, even better guitar finisher. He's a master finisher. He's the best in the business. Never saw anybody who can do work like him. And he delivered me on the subway. São Paulo has a subway, so I was picking the guitar on the subway, and it was the first time I had the opportunity of seeing my family name on the headstock. Something that was not a paper that I wrote or school work, whatever, college work. It was a three-dimensional object with my name or my family name or my last name stamped, printed, glued, attached to the headstock. And it was pretty shocking because I didn't know back then, but I my brand started there. So
Very nice. Very nice.
yeah. And
We
when
have a, go ahead.
no,
You
just
want to, okay.
I came home, my dad just, he was very emotional. He
Yeah.
saw that. So it was a really nice family moment we had there. So it's
Very
just a
good.
huge thing.
Now, I've been in your shop several times, Juan, your older shop. I haven't been in your new shop, which you just moved to recently. And perhaps a little bit later,
Yeah.
if we have some time, we can do
Okay.
a shop tour. But I've been in your shop several times, and you call it a basement shop, but it's actually pretty nice and pretty big. But there's a question here from somebody that I'd like you to answer here. Um, how did you manage to organize your small workshop in your parents' basement?
Well, you have to be a good son, and I'm not. So you have to respect them. You really have to. I was taking small increments, biting smaller, bigger and bigger increments of space as I moved on, because I was negotiating, constantly negotiating more space. It was not a whole lot of a deal to do that. But my mother, she always encouraged me. So the first of all, you have to know that you are dealing with dust exposure, chemicals from varnishes, glues, whatever, and noise, of course, a lot of noise. If you want to make guitars using electric power tools, you're gonna deal with a lot of noisy tools, right? But I would first of all be respectful with them because there were strangers walking in and out every time to buy guitars or to set up their instruments. But I always made very clear to the one who was coming, the customers, that this was a professionally home working place. You know how to mix that.
Yeah, yeah.
And also to my parents, I never mixed. We had a agreed that when the customer was gonna be there, nobody would show up, um, especially on underwears like my old man. So just to make sure there was no embarrassing moments that could confuse the customer's perspective on seeing me as a less professional standpoint.
Right.
So you are already receiving the person in your house. I was not living there anymore. My parents were, but I was always very careful to not look like an unprofessional place, and notwithstanding the fact that it was a home environment.
Right. And Juan has always been very professional. Every time I visited his shop in Sao Paulo, he has a very nice showroom that was up above the basement shop area, with all of the guitars on the walls with lights on them, so people could come in and play. The shop downstairs is very well organized, very clean. Lots of coffee breaks. By the way, his mother is a very good cook.
Yeah, she is. Yeah, thank you for that. Yeah,
Yeah, tell her I
especially
said
for
hello, please.
yeah, I will, I will. She loves you. She loves your family as well.
Oh, thank you. Let's talk a little bit about the guitars that you make, and let's also talk about your website. I've got your website here that I can pull up, and if
Okay.
you want to say anything about your website, now's the time. This is Casillas Guitars in Brazil, and
Dot
what?
com dot br,
Yeah,
right?
.com
And
.br for Brazil, right, folks?
Yeah. First of all, I'm sorry, we are working on an English version. So please be, I'll be more than happy to answer to question, comments. If you want to shoot me an email or WhatsApp or whatever you're gonna, or Instagram also, I'll be more than happy to talk about any doubts, concerns you have. This is, well, mostly a portfolio. There was a series of registering the whole step-by-step process of making an Archtop guitar on YouTube. And after the United States, after studying at Gallup, I decided that my main instrument would become the Archtop guitar. And I fell in love with it. I love the carving procedures. I love revealing the tone, so if I can say that. Is different than a acoustic guitar. If you want to show me, I have a top here. I don't know if you can see it.
Yes.
This is a OM model, pretty much straightforward with my own personal preferences of brace placement and thicknesses and so on. But I see the acoustic steel string as a thing that you add pieces to the tone or the sound. You build sound. While the archtop guitar, you release the sound. This is an archtop plate I'm working on. It has been carved throughout. It's not being finely carved to the final dimensions because I will do that after I add the braces. But I see the archtop as differently. I remove sound. I kind of carve the sound out
Hmm.
instead of putting braces in to make the sound or to build the sound. I don't know if that makes sense. Does it make sense?
It does, and there's a question kind of about that, and I have the same question. You talked about carving the plate. Do you do it by hand or use power tools? And here's a question from
I,
Matthew.
I yeah. So Matthew, thanks for the question. I I try to use. I am making guitars to live, to support my family. Many people in the trade call themselves artists. I do think there's a lot of artistry in the trade, what I do or what my team does. But this is a business solely. This has to work as a business in order for me to put guitars out and to make people happy with what I do and how I can help them. So answering your question, I try to make the best use of technology as I can. So I use power tools to hog out the materials, and I use hand tools to refine the carving. So this way I get the best of both worlds because I want to do luthiery for the rest of my life, right? I think all luthiers want to be luthiers as long as they can. Am I right, Robbie? Do you feel this way?
That's definitely my case. I think it's a case for a lot of people too.
Yeah, I mean, what will be the point of damaging my body, which is my main tool, my most important tool, my arms, my hands, my fingers, and doing guitars only by hand and taking a lot of time and effort, and just by the principles of doing it by hand. I'm not saying you said that, Matthew, but I know a lot of guitar makers who feel this way whenever they encounter technology and they are faced with any other manners of building their instruments. I think it's a win-win situation when you have technology available. You should use it. If you have power tools available to make your job easier and more precise, absolutely go ahead and use it. If you want to dig in the joy of carving by hand or using hand tools whenever you want it, feel free to use it as well. Use the best as you can.
Yeah, I'm glad you touched on that, the business aspect of luthiery, because like you said, a lot of people think, oh, I'm an artist, and it's very romantic to say that no power tool has ever touched my instrument and no sandpaper. I only use scrapers. At the end of the day, though, you got to pay the bills, so you got
Yeah.
to build as many instruments as quickly as possible using quality. So I'm like you. I'm not opposed to speeding things up. So along those business lines, most people know I used to live in Brazil for 15 years. I've worked in Brazil. I know the difficulties of living in Brazil and a foreign country. I mean, just the import tax and things like that. Can you speak on some of the difficulties that you've had of being a luthier in Brazil? Is it any easier than the United States or anywhere else in the world, or is it more difficult?
It's way more difficult, unfortunately. Yeah.
And why
Uh,
is that?
because as you said, import taxes, we don't have as, trying to put in numbers, I would say we have 5% of the tools available you have in the US, to be very modest, I would say.
Yeah.
So whenever you have to buy another tool or supplies, pickups, strings, even tuners, it was a wasteland 10 years ago. It was a, how do you say, the Mad Max scenario? The
Yeah.
you have to kill to get some tuners around here. It used to be like that. Now it's getting better, but United States, they developed, the first world countries in general, this is much better to find sources, Tonewoods, supplies, machinery. I think it's harder to get workforce, perhaps. I would say. I guess I don't know about that really, but here is it's a lot of a bigger challenge to establish a lutherie shop. Most people, they survive by doing repairs and maintenance and setups. This is the foundation of their financial success. Most of the guitar makers I know, they could barely survive only making guitars, only building guitars. My business, I always chose the most difficult path really, because I do very little repairs, maintenance, setups. I'm very selective on that because I don't want to lose the focus on building the instruments, and this is very important and also much harder. But you see, this pile of wood is all maple billets from the west, the east coast, and all of them had to go through in different times, of course, to get here. But I had to go through abusive import taxes, much more trouble than you would find in the U.S. or buying locally, or even importing woods is it's much harder to get things here in Brazil than in other countries.
Yeah.
But there's a big but. I don't feel harmed by that. I used to feel uh, that hurted me more in the past, but you get a thicker skin, you learn to deal with it. There's the good things and the bad things. I had a few opportunities to move to the United States to work with good luthiers as an apprentice or as a assistant or to establish a shop there, but I didn't want to move away from my family. And especially right now with my 5-year-old son, uh, I want him to grow with his grandparents and his family around and his school. So it's nice to have contact with other people. And now I don't, I'm in peace with being in Brazil as a guitar maker. I love my country. There, of course, there's a lot of problems here, but I do love here as well.
Fantastic. I remember one time when we were filming the Archtop course, and you talked about the difficulty of getting machines and supplies and tuners and things in Brazil. We went to just the local Home Depot here, and I think
Yeah,
we needed a power tool, a router or something like that. And
yeah,
the selection, whether there are 15 of them to choose from.
yeah.
So the
I
selection
remember
here,
the feeling.
in Brazil, you have one choice, if that, right?
Yeah, now we have two.
Yeah.
But I remember the feeling, Robbie, exactly as you were saying. We were recording we were shooting the Archtop course, 2016, 17, right?
Yeah, 2016, I think it was.
Oh my God.
Yeah, really.
So, and I remember seeing your face. Oh yeah, what now? Oh, we have a problem. We have to go. What are we gonna do without it? And we took your car, your pickup, your truck. We drove 20 minutes, bought the tool, and we came back to do the task. I mean, it was like that.
Very easy, much different than Brazil. Now, somebody
So
asked a question about woods here. Let me see if I can find that question here, because let's see, where is that? Here we go. Because you have trouble with supplies, but most people think, oh, but in Brazil you have tons of wood. However, a lot of the woods that you use are imported. Talk a little bit
yeah,
about what Brazil offers as far as tone woods.
Hi Mauro, how are you doing? He was of a masterclass student just on July this year,
Yeah.
and I'm glad to see you are following. You can use Marupá Cacheta for top. I know spruce is very hard to find here and very expensive as well, but you can well take taking the excuse of putting Bob Benedetto in this talk. He he questions this word, this expression. Is there Tonewoods really? Is that a bad or a good Tonewood? Is that a bad wood? So if you have woods available to make a guitar, I think, of course, given the certain proportions of density, thickness, and if it has a lot of knots and defects or anything, but luthery, or what are you gonna do with it, occupies a bigger place than what you woods you're gonna use. So the craftsmanship, the knowledge, the expertise you acquire, they are much more important than the materials themselves in itself. So if you do good luthery on a reasonable or not so good material, it's gonna become a really good guitar. But if you take the top shelf, the best of the best moon spruce collected in the the sacred days and everything, and you pay fortune for the materials. If you do bad luthery, the guitar is not going to be as good as the
Exactly.
materials itself. So I think you can improvise. In your case, Mauro, there is a whole lot of Brazilian alternatives, lower density and lightweight woods that you can use to substitute for the guitar top.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that question a lot here in my shop. Hey, which is better, Brazilian rosewood or Indian rosewood? And I tell people, well, I've heard a lot of bad sounding Brazilian rosewood guitars and a lot of great sounding Indian rosewood guitars. So obviously
Yeah,
there's more to it than just, the types of woods that you're using. Here's
absolutely.
here's another question, kind of along the lines of tools. And I saw when we were talking yesterday doing a tech check for the stream today, I saw a CNC in your shop. Here's a question:
Yes.
do you use CNC, and if so, which model?
I recently acquired a CNC, and I'm thinking, why didn't I get it before? Because I don't substitute I don't ever plan on substituting the human hand or human ear on my process, ever. But when you are slotting fingerboards, when you're radiusing them, when you're carving away the bulk of an archtop, which starts as 25 millimeter thick blank and has to be 6, so 5 times less in the end. And you could do that precisely because the luthery is only at the 10% final stage, the final lap of making the guitar, in my opinion at least. So the CNC, I have one. But I am just starting to use it, and is kind of like learning another trade. It's very difficult for me, at least. I wasn't aware of how many information, how much effort you have to put into learning that craft. It's almost like learning luthery again.
Yeah.
But when you start to do a field drawings or you hire someone to do that, which is my case, I am having someone to help me or hiring a guy to do the drawings for me, the CAD drawings and CAM also. When you see the machine working as something that it would take you 5 to 10 times more with less precision and repeatability, you just get crazy because it's so precise, so accurate, so fast, so reliable. Never sleeps, never complains.
Oh no, we
Oh,
froze.
oh, I'm sorry. Are you
That's
hearing
all right.
me?
You're back. You're back. Go ahead.
So for me, it was a huge improvement. As I said, I'm just starting to use it, and I don't plan on stop doing handwork. It's just to help me. It's another tool, like a pocket knife is a tool, a chisel is a tool. If you use it bad, you're gonna create bad things. And the CNC is just another tool in my tool shelf. Really, I really see it that way. I don't plan overusing it, but when precision is required, why not? I mean, this is crazy. And the guitars are better this way. You can make it more, you can multiply it in a good way. My production is really small. We only make 25 instruments a year, so it's really really small dedicated production. Even with me, Danielle, and Valdir, we are three people here. We make less guitars than most of the people think, because there's a lot of attention to detail. There's just so many things we have to do to crank this lever,
Right.
but I would definitely, talking about sizes, my machine is only 60 centimeters by 90 centimeters. So it's, I don't know how many inches that, but you can, it's a small footprint. And I see a lot of people with large footprint machines to make guitars. That doesn't make sense. You're just paying for the overhead. And whenever you make it bigger, you also having bigger problems in terms of structural integrity and so on. So I decided to make to buy a small machine to first of all to fit in my space, but to have better precision, as I was advised to.
Yeah, Joan, for those of the people that don't know, Bob Mizek of Roberts Luthier has created a CNC for Luthiers course. It's a fantastic course. So if you're getting into Lutherie and CNC and you want to go down that path, he's got a great course on that. And Joan, do you have access to that course?
I don't, but I saw it and I
All
was
right. So
feeling.
talk to me when we get done here. I'll get you some access to that course, maybe to help
Okay,
you. And
very
here's a
much.
top secret thing here. I have taken the plunge into CNC as well. I bought a machine a
So,
couple of months ago, but I'm so busy. I said, hey, you guys just keep that machine until the end of October after I get done with Trevor Gore's classes. Then you ship it to me. And then Bob
oh, this
Mizek's coming out here and he's going to help me set it up. And then we're going to offer some CNC classes in house here at the Lutheran
oh,
Academy.
that's really nice. You will enjoy it. What size is yours?
It's big.
Is
Desktop.
it?
Yeah, it's a desktop. It's not a 4x8, but it's a 4x4 kind of thing. So it's pretty large.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So, well, you will enjoy it, absolutely.
Well, right now I'm scared.
Yeah, you should be also. In the beginning, everything is kind of scary, but to my case, it was a very, very expensive table for a long time.
Yeah, yeah. All right, here comes
But
another
right,
question from Eduardo. Eduardo says, what is the main difference of the sound between parallel and X bars on an Archtop? Can you offer some insight there?
Eduardo, Dr. Eduardo, good to see you here, buddy. Well, X-Brace, they are they have more bass response. They have a sweeter sound. They have a more of an acoustic, if you think of a steel string acoustic guitar sound. While the parallel bracing projects far away, it really a piercing, penetrating sound, a faster response compared to the X. I would say it's a louder feeling. Sitting around a parallel brace guitar makes you have a louder, more piercing feel about the instrument, especially as a listener, not a player. While if you are a player, the X brace is gonna feel more comfortable to you because it irradiates sound around you more than the parallel brace ones. This same thing happens when you thin down the body. Thicker body archtop.
We lost Juan again.
Okay, I'm back.
Yeah, you're back. You were talking about thicker body Archtops.
The thicker body archtops, they have a more bass responsive, they have better bass response. The sound seems to be around the player more,
Hmm.
but also the trebles get thinner. So it's not a win-win situation. Everything there is a trade, right?
Right.
But while if you flatten the guitar, if you make the body thinner as far as the side material, you're gonna have a faster response. Kind of like you squish the sound and makes it, when you muffle. How do you say amassar uma lata ou uma garrafa e o som sai pela boca? How do
Yeah,
you say
when
that?
you smash like a can or a bottle or something, and the sound goes out through the mouth.
Yeah, so if you make the guitar thinner, the responsive is going to be quicker. It's really something that especially on archtops, I noticed that a lot. So that's why you keep that in the range of 2.5 to 3 inches side depth. But that's the main aspects of comparing X to parallel bracing.
All right. And do you also build flat top acoustics? Gary's asking that.
I do, Gary. Actually, I plan on getting deeper into that. Right now, I make Martin-based or traditionally American-based guitars, like Collings or Bourgeois. Uh, right now, I have. You want to see it?
Sure, pull one out.
So this is a double O. Oh, the image froze a little bit.
No, it's fine here on this end.
Still there?
Yeah, we're fine on this end. Yeah, looks good on this end, Zhuang.
Hello, hello.
Yeah, image is not froze on this end, Zhuang. We're still good. There we go. Nope, turn it back the other way. Turn it back the other way. Turn it back the other. Oh, we lost him. Well, he should be back here in just a minute. One of the problems of working in São Paulo, Brazil, the internet's not exactly what we want it to be. There he comes. He's coming back. There we go. You back, Zhuang?
So this is a L00.
Mm-hmm.
It's Brazilian rosewood, back and sides, and it's on the assembly right now.
Mm-hmm.
And but right now I am dodging away from the Martin traditional headstock, square headstocks, and so on, to start a new line of new design, kind of Casas more based, and mostly influenced by Irving Samaji, Isaac Jang, including, I want to say, a huge high end to my friend Isaac Jang, because I met him last year while we were traveling on the Northwood seminar at Gallups again.
Yep.
And he's such a kind-hearted guy. It's just, I didn't have an idea of how great and how big he is, really. His guitars are just amazing, out of the charts. I mean, off the charts. He's an amazing builder and a great human being. So mostly the guitars that I plan to build, they are even more exclusive. I plan on using, I want to show a bit of Brazilian prime stuff here. This is one of the things that I plan on using. Can you see?
Beautiful. Yeah, yeah.
So this is quarter sawn, straight grain, kind of a flamed Brazilian rosewood.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very old, old growth. I plan on making that available, and the tap tone is also really good. Very vitreous. Don't know if you can hear it through the camera, but so this is one of the things that I plan on using on my next builds. Really prime stuff, Brazilian rosewood mostly. So that's sorry for the longer answering the question, but I plan on doing that, really. I love these steel string acoustics, and I plan on digging even deeper into that.
Yep. How long is your waiting list now, Zhuang?
It's about 2 years.
Okay. So if somebody wants to order an instrument, just have them contact you through your website and get on the list then?
Yeah. I'll be more than happy to talk about possibilities, customization, but right now we are on the list. It's just 24 months.
Mm-hmm.
So
Perfect.
it's a really limited output.
I'm going to take one more quick question here, and then if you have a few minutes, would it be possible to give us a quick shop tour or something of your new facility there?
Absolutely. Be more than happy to do that.
All right, so here's a quick question. You see, I've seen some Archtops with oval sound holes, and how do these compare to the F holes?
Hi, Kenneth. Thank you for asking that. I just recently finished my first oval hole Archtop. It was made to a Swedish client, and it was great guitar. What I feel is I tried to carve it a little bit thinner, and the arching was not as deep as the usual Archtop. So the plates were carved with a little bit less thickness and also less carving, less arching. What I tried to I tried to emulate what would be a steel string acoustic into the Archtop world, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And it sounded like a crossover between the steel string and the Archtop guitar, really. So I was really happy, and also was the customer, because that was the objective, to make a crossover guitar. And also I did an X-braced Archtop. I would not, well, my first try, of course, was to make it more familiar with the steel string guitar. So that's why I decided to do an X-brace. It was a fairly light X-brace, and it was great. I was really happy. Can't wait to make another one.
Fantastic. All right. So, if possible, we're going to try this, folks. Do a quick little shop tour here, nothing fancy.
Okay.
And let's see how the farther we get away from the router, see if the internet's going to hold up for us. If we
Let
lose
me
you,
just
just dial back in.
Okay. Let me just check on the Danielle. He's gonna be the cameraman here, so let me check in on him really quick.
Okay.
E aí, Daniel? Tudo bem?
All right, folks, stay with us. Because right after the shop tour, we're going to be giving doing the giveaway. All right. So here comes another camera. This is from Danielle, I believe, and this one. There we go. Now we're mobile. So let's see.
Okay.
Let me get the correct
So
camera. Oh, hang on. Let me get the correct camera here. Let's see. Hang on. I gotta try and get you on full screen. Come on now. There we go. All right. So Joan's going to give us a quick little shop tour of his new facility, which I haven't seen, by the way. I'm looking forward to seeing it. I'll
yeah,
be
you
down there
should
next year.
come.
I'll come see you
Well,
next year.
okay, yeah, you will be more than welcome. So this is the wood room. We try to keep it acclimated to 40% humidity. You can come here closer. And so this is where I keep most of the materials I have, from maples, billets, things that are going to be cut into the acoustic sets, or the heritage models, which is this guitar here. This is the semi-hollow heritage. So there is a thick carved top, and also a mahogany carved back. And also for the sides, I'm sorry, the solid body heritage model, which is this one. This has a P90 pickup configuration, has a maple top. And I have all the woods here to use like the best as I can to suit my customers' needs, you know, the collectors or the players. There's a lot of good selection of flame maple, spruces, or cedars from all sorts of places. Some Brazilian rosewood here for acoustic back and sides, fingerboards, bridge blanks. So this is, and I try to keep it acclimated to 40%, 45%. If I ever gonna build a guitar to a drier climate, the whole room has to suffer a little bit. And also, this is the go bar. This is where we glue up the braces. And we do it here to keep the humidity on the same level. So we don't mess up with that, you know. We have to take really close attention on assembling the guitar on the same dry conditions as we keep the room, so we can control it further. And right now, we're gonna move to the other part of the shop. We try to move it slowly, so. Uh, this is my bench, and we share space here. This is a bigger area. Dá uma voltinha aí, Daniel. So we, as you said, Robbie, there's just less than a year since I've been here. So we're still settling stuff. We're still looking for it. But it's starting to feel like home right now, you know? So it's starting to feel like this is home, because I stayed 20 years on the last place. So there's a lot of time there, just a little bit of time here yet. But we started to feel like home. And also, let me just grab the camera here. This is Danielle. Hey. Danielle Daniel is a sweet, sweet newcomer. He's here with 1 year. Quantos meses, Daniel? 7 meses. He's here only for 7 months. Used to be Giovanni here. Giovanni was a great, great assistant, former assistant. He stayed here for 7 to 8 years. Absolutely great guy. The biggest heart I could ever find. And Daniel, he's taking the, you know, keeping the torch light up. How do you say? Manter
Yeah,
a tocha acesa.
yeah.
So, but he's a
Carrying
great
the torch is what we say in English. Carrying the torch.
carrying the torch,
Yeah.
in doing it very well. So, congratulations to Daniel. I want to say hi to him. Props to him, and also we share this space, right? So Daniel is starting to do a lot of things like setups on guitars to get back better hands, luthery hands, but he has a lot of previous experience as well. That guy there is Valdir. He's the veteran of the shop. And I know Roger. He was the finisher of my first decal. He's an expert finisher, great guitar maker, so experienced. One of the most talented, oriented guys. Very meticulous, fine detail workers. So I'm really blessed to have people around me who I can learn a lot from. And first of all, they're good people to hang with. You know.
Yeah.
I don't care about if the guy has a lot of ability or not, but if there's good people around you who can be trained, everything can be dealt with.
Yeah. There's a
So
question about lighting, João. Isn't it too hard to work without windows and daylight? Because I don't see any natural lighting in there. Talk about that.
yeah, I am cursed, and I went from one basement shop to another basement non-window shop. One day I will have a window in my shop. This is my dream. And but it's light, it's hard because you kind of lose notion of time, most of it. So I have good LED lights. They provide good illumination, they good lighting, but it's kind of hard, you know. I wish I had windows. Someday I will, but we got used to it. So many years doing it, and if you don't work too hard, if you work on regular working hours, you go home and still have a little bit of daylight so you don't get too confused. So moving on, uh, this is the other part of the shop. Right now, we are selecting the woods for the semi-hollow hands-on class, which is where we're going to receive 2 students per time to do their guitar here personally. So it's very much inspired by your work, Robbie.
Yeah.
Through the years, I gave lessons, and as we have the course together, online course, people have been asking me, "Hey, João, it's good to have you teaching us how to do archtops and lectures and so on, but is there going to be someday a course where we're going to do the guitars ourselves?" And after thinking and planning really ahead, we came up with the idea of teaching that semi-hollow guitar class in person. So 2 students per time, 5 days only. So Danielle is my witness. We have put everything on the hours, you know, every single minute of the tasks. And it's possible to be here from Monday to Friday and go with your own made guitars, a very high quality one, on same principles as the course. So right
Perfect.
now we are working on it. And moving on here, this is the rest of the shop, the machinery, the parts of the where we have the machines. So we have dust collection plumbed on the floor. It goes through all the machineries. We have blast gates, which is those little parts you can open and close to dedicate the dust collection to a single machine. And it was a really clever idea from a friend of mine, Miguel. So hi to Miguel for being smart while I'm not. So and so it was really nice. As I said, it's still is a small place. It may look like a bigger place, but it's a regularly commercial available place. And here where I'm at, you can rent it for a not an absurd lot of money. And also to have machineries laying, it doesn't mean that we're gonna increase the production. We're gonna have just to work more comfortably because on the other shop it was kind of, you know, small, too small for it. So we have a few benches here and there. I don't know if the internet connection is gonna help because we are far from the Wi-Fi mode. So this is the CNC room. Every time we go inside, seems like a curse. It stops recording, but this is the CNC room, and this is dedicated to the machine. Right now we are doing some prototyping, and right next we're gonna do some fretboard radiusing, perhaps, which is something that I really love doing it. I really don't love doing by hand because it takes so much effort and it's not precise, and the machine does it so well, so pristine every time. So, and right here we have a big jointer. It's a 16-inch wide jointer with a spiral cutter head, segmented cutter head. So this is a really nice improvement to the shop. It deals with even the most figured of woods like wilted maple so well. And all the cutter heads in the shop, they are spiral segmented cutter heads. This way we avoid dealing with knives and their imperfection and not so precise also. So this is pretty much standard. Have a table saw here, and right there we have the spray booth. So including if you guys want to shoot any question about finishing, would be more than happy to answer. So this is the spray booth. We have some babies here, so it's our maternity. How do you call maternidade, hobby?
Yeah, the maternity ward.
Maternity ward. So
Yeah.
right now we are finishing a semi-hollow and solid body batch. A few heritages here and there. These ones are going to be finished in nitrocellulose lacquer and relict. So cracking the finish and dinging the guitar all up. Uh, so it's already shining a little bit. I don't know if you can see the flamey,
That's beautiful.
and it's very lightweight. Les Pauls are not known by being lightweight guitars, but this one has a sound core, which is a Paulonia sound body. So it's not chambered, it's 100% solid body, but it has a softer, lighter, more responsive core used Paulonia, which is a great tone wood. And on the back, we have a few guitars. Only one Archtop in this bath. There's gonna be three more Archtops coming by. There is a nice green quilted maple
Absolutely
heritage.
gorgeous. Very nice.
Thank you. Thank you. So the customer wanted something very like alien, greenish, space vomit. So it was to be a very bright, crazy color, and I think the quilted maple matched it beautifully. So it was really nice. I'm really happy with the results. I think he's also. And
As well, there's a
see,
question about pore filling. What are you using for pore filling?
oh, I've used everything. I've used from CA glue to water-based, epoxy, polyurethane as a filler. But right now, I am doing a very thin coat of polyurethane
Hmm.
just to seal the wood,
Hmm.
very thin coat, and rubbing Timbermate, which is, how do you call it? Wood paste? No, it's not
Yeah,
wood
it's a
paste.
water-based filler. We have it here in the States. You can get it at Rockler Woodcraft. Comes from
Yeah,
Australia, but a very, very
yeah.
nice water-based type finish or pore filling.
Yeah, it sands away beautifully. The powder sands really fast, and it is a dry time of 2 or 3 hours. And
Hmm.
right now, we are cutting our finish time by half just by using that. Epoxy is kind of nasty to sand. It's very hard to control how much you're gonna get sanded away and still keeping material in the pores. That's what I found to be most difficult while dealing with CA, pore filler, or epoxy.
Right,
And when you get the wood uncovered, you sand away too much. It gets different glares. You know, it looks different from the place where it's still heavy deposited with epoxy, and the other place it doesn't. So
right.
it's kind of hard to see. This one, I only scuff it, so I shoot a little thin coat of. You could be also nitrocellulose or sealer or whatever your preference, and rub the Timbermate, the wood filler, uh, take away the excess. So I rub away the excess with a paper towel. So I just keep the material in the pores and scuff sand really light with 400 or 600 grit, or even a Scotch Brite abrasive. Is that how you
Hmm.
call it?
Right, right.
And the finish is beautiful. We cut it. We used to go inside the spray booth 4 times per guitar. Now we go only 2 times. So
Wow.
yeah. So if you multiply that by how much lacquer you spend, how much time on the spray booth, this is great. We're really loving it. And still provides a very thin, durable finish. So we're really happy about it. This is our way to go.
Right.
And here is the proper spray booth. So this is where we apply the finish. We have a air regulator, really good from the Vilbis. This is the prime stuff. It keeps water away. It's very important to keep water away in your process. And also we have a part here. You can spin the guitar this way, and also you can spin the guitar this way. So you can have freehand access. So you put the guitar here, and we have hangers. This is something that took us a lot of time to come up with, because we need to come up with something that it was reliable. So this part has a nut and a bolt here, goes through the headstock, 2 nylon, how do you say porca, Hobby? Bolts?
Porca is nut.
Nut.
Yeah,
So
nut.
2 nylon nuts, we just threaded it in order to not have metal shavings getting stuck on the freshly applied varnish. And we used to have metal bolts, but it, shredded away. Very few pieces of metal, they used to go in the finish. Now with nylon, we don't have this problem anymore. And this is a T threaded rod with a screw soldered into the tip. So we have just go in the end of the guitar, and we have kind of a roast chicken, to just and it's really, really nice, really nice. We can just keep the guitar there and finish the instrument without even having to hang it there. So it's really nice. It's a really nice process. And this is pretty much it. If you, we try to keep us we try to go in the spray booth with at least 4 instruments per time. We got a little over our heads on this batch because we entered with 8 guitars. It never happened before. On the older shop, we didn't have even have space to do that. And I'm in kind of a divided place where I feel like I work as a, Charles Chaplin old movie where he was tightening.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so I didn't like too much the experience of, I like seeing the spray booth filled with the guitars, but the feeling of working too many hours on same task, shaping 8 necks, shaping 8 bodies, gluing 8 necks, it was not very pleasing, to be honest. So right now I'm kind of understanding the new place, understanding the workflow, and perhaps we're gonna do a smaller batch. Perhaps no, we're gonna do a smaller batch on the following instruments to 5 or 4 guitars, which is it's less productive this way, but I feel less of a industrial worker. I get my hands on, my attention's better focused on detail work and so on.
Right. All right, João, I'm going to let you walk back into the wood room, and
Okay.
I'm going to go down to Brazil and visit with Cesar and Manuela, and let's get ready for the drawing. I'll let you go ahead and get back in there, and we'll do the drawing while you're on your way
Okay.
back.
I'll connect it right away.
All right, Cesar, Manuela, you're still with us.
Yes, for sure.
Okay, so let's give away the Archtop course first from João. And if you still want to enter, I think there's still time. Just click on that link at the top. Very quickly enter. We're going to do this drawing and the semi-hollow body. But let's start with the Archtop.
Yeah, so for the Archtop, we have 35 participants. So
Okay.
And number 1. Scott.
Number 1. Hey.
Congratulations.
All right, who's number 1? Scott. All right, congratulations, Scott. You have just won access to João Casas' Archtop guitar building course. We did that, heck, it's been 8 or 9 years ago we did that, but it's a fantastic course. And let's go ahead and give away the semi-hollow body course. I was in Brazil last year, and I filmed that with João in his old shop. And it's a fun course. You can knock it out very quickly. Doesn't require a lot of tools or materials. Just a fun course. So let's see who's going to get that.
Yeah, so in the meantime, in fact, one more registered. So we have 36 participants for
36. Here we go.
And number, I'm not going to pronounce. I'm sure I'm going to butcher this.
I don't think I can pronounce that either, but congratulations.
Let me just
All right.
show the name.
And Cesar will be in touch with an email asking for information about that, and we'll go ahead and get you access to that. Thank you very much, Cesar and Manuela. I thank you very much for doing the drawing. Manuela, I think you have an appointment to go to, don't you? Soon after.
We do. Yeah.
Okay, so if you guys need to go ahead and go, that's fine. I'll get back and we'll finish this up with João. Thank you very much to Cesar and Manuela.
Thank you.
All right. Woo! João, you still there? He's back.
Here.
Very good. João, I want to say thank you very much for participating here in the live stream. It looks like it's been very well received. People are commenting and saying thank you. And one person even said you needed to come back. They really enjoyed it. So maybe we can have you on again in the future when you have a guitar or something you want to talk about. We'll have you back on. If anybody wants a guitar from João, you can contact him through his website. Also, he's giving classes on Archtop and on the semi-hollow body. If you want to go to Brazil, take a vacation and study with João, it's well worth the trip. So I think you would enjoy that. Thank you very much to João, everybody. Very good. All right. Thank you very much, everybody, for tuning in, and over and out.